sitting here fuzzing around trying to get this thing going. Welcome everybody to a driving stream. Just let me get something out. Okay. Probably leave that there, but I might get it there. It's just a laptop case. I want to take it off the I'll just stop on the way in here. Here you go. Yeah, it's an unusual time for me to be streaming. It's absolutely driving for a couple of hours, stopping, driving for stopping on to then repeat. Just making sure I've got everything in place for torch. Got a drink here. The radio too.
Played golf with him in the Pro-Am last year, earlier this year, sorry, and he'd done a lot of scrimmage to try and improve, because as you get older you lose your pace, but he'd been working on all the sprint work, and I saw him running it earlier in the season, sort of dropped off a bit, but he might get a little bit of stick back if he trains.
The other phone here I could probably pull over and put YouTube on.
Where they'll be with 5 weeks to go or 4 weeks to go.
Break off. 4G repeaters on. It says it's got excellent coverage.
Because I noticed the last year
Excellent booster receiving quality. Excellent cell tower receiving quality. Excellent. Antenna separation. Excellent. This is a really it's water you get in the background.
Be back in a couple of weeks, I think, the Reggie. So I don't think they'll be that bad. Look, they were ordinary the other night. The Roosters blew them off the park. The Roosters looking really good.
But I'll try and mute the music as much as I can. Oh, I'm not doing the 3 camera setup and switch it tonight. I'll let it pull over. At least not until I get the Starlink going. So probably going to do like 4 hours. Yes. And
absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they go.
Yeah. So I'm just going to use 4G up, probably up till just before Bundaberg, where it ran out last time. But I didn't have the repeater either, so it could be better. But I'll just start it then, because I've got 12 hours battery life, I think, for the Starlink.
He played an NRL game at the end of last year against the Melbourne Storm in that last round of the season. He goes very well, and Burley sitting in the host.
Would have been better if I had 2 batteries, or I had a generator. Pretty kilos for the generator. Had to take the up and space the way with it. Later on, I could put the.
I'm going to be 150 kilos soon. It's so good. Coffee and a white chocolate cheesecake at the Burley Lease highlights. It's the best.
Data warning, use 2 gigabytes. got a terabyte on the Starlink, and we've got a terabyte on the television.
In a few weeks with
Couldn't get the Ethernet working on the Starlink. I have to muck around with it still, but got the Wi-Fi going on it, so Wi-Fi and one connection and 2 4G connections with the booster. Might get some sort of Thor test. We'll get fuel on the highway. So basically got knocked out and driving. There's some bowls of lemonade in the back of this school. Got a flask of coffee here. Worst comes to worst, I can make my own coffee.
Between the Sunshine Coast and Brisbane, and once moving through the city, you'll find Milton Road, Coronation Drive and Countess Street all trouble-free, along with the Riverside Expressway. Elsewhere, the Logan motorway is fine, past the Bow Desert, Wembley and Logan Road exits. I'm Jimmy Clark on Brisbane's traffic leader, 882 4BC.
Got one of the little cats over the train. I'll go and turn the camera around.
This is your nearest showroom, or find out more at kia.com.au.
Want to chat with people who love footy just as much as you? Ladbrokes Communities.
In 300 metres, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Pullen Road.
Minded punters. Discuss the latest news, fixtures and predictions for the round ahead. Plus, there's plenty of other communities to explore, including racing, soccer and more. So take on the fun this footy season and Ladbroke it with communities only available in the Ladbrokes app. You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Good health is contagious.
At least we'll give me a
And at
warning.
Bupa, we're helping out almost 4 million members live healthier. Join Bupa for award-winning health insurance. And
Hey,
for your
Dougie.
good health, catch on.
Dusty.
Big
Rusty.
man, your favourites are back. Yeah, Chucky! Not
Sorry,
those
buddy.
favourites. The winter favourites are back. And those, like my favourite, Big Men's flannelette shirt.
Writing's a little small on the.
In 500 metres,
On the screen.
turn left onto South Pine Road.
So I'm figuring a way how to make it bigger. Well, that's actually turned the laptop on, but that's illegal, I think.
$29.95 plus long sleeve tees and polos, another $24.95.
Just pull over here and
Back and available in store and online now.
Want to download Fuel
Can fix up the camera.
Get the My 7-Eleven app. Lock in our best local fuel price for up to 7 days, and you could save up to 25 cents per litre. You've got a deal.
So I'm still learning how to use these other cameras and that sort of stuff, if you know what I mean. So we'll just turn this one around.
Trade Expo is back Thursday 16th of May from 12 to 8 p.m. at the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Centre. Don't miss your chance to grab Expo-only deals on top brand tools before tax time. Plus there'll be...
Can you hear me, so? So let's see this. Let's see me a bit better. Turn it this way a bit. What's the sound like? What does the wind sound like? Dusty. Dusty. Yeah, I can see it. That's better. That's a better view. What does the wind sound like? Dusty. Yeah, I can see it. Okay.
Snakes in the grass.
The new Summers starts Sunday at 7 on 9 now.
Okay.
Sports for the 7-seat all-electric Kia EV9.
Next mission.
For 2024 drive.
Get out the highway.
Visit your nearest showroom.
Yeah, petrol.
Wide border sport.
Take the next left onto South Pine Road.
321 kilometres in the
Peter
tank.
Basolda's with you. We've got a
Estimation.
few minutes left. All the hour once again just
So it's about
absolutely
100 k's to the
flies
it flies.
up
So
to
tank petrol.
Continue for 1.5 kilometres.
you crush on a player in the NRL.
Oh, who is it?
It's Max Plath.
Oh, he had a good
He's playing for the Dolphins. Max Platt, son of John, who played a long time for the Broncos.
Yep.
And mate, I love watching him play. Because you know, just straight back to the 80s. Just a good, solid player. On the weekend, he made 11 runs for 95 metres, 44 tackles. But mate, I just, you know, it's funny because you watch players and you go, geez, you know what? It's almost like me, or it's like Trevor.
Trevor.
It's Wally Fulham Smith from the 80s. You know, just
Indeed.
workers, running the ball up, defence, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, he's a gun. Max Platt.
Talking about rugby league.
Number 13.
I got the window open the other side. Usually the wind
He's a ripper.
makes a lot of noise. Got a real small dead cat with a rubber band. This cat is me. Every few hours I'll check the nuts on the roof. And the one behind the steering wheel. Everything's locked in.
Road to Beckett Road, Rhodey Road.
Roads and more roads.
Especially after, I mean, what happened there on
Oh, that wasn't that a capitulation? We were obviously sitting in the box, ready for the Brisbane game, doing our homework and study, and we were watching this on the telly, and wow, it was unbelievable.
Use the left lane to take the State Route 40 slip road.
Should have the dropout screen too.
Never happens.
So
Anyway,
I'll try and do the full 12 hours stream.
John Platt was on the bench,
I think.
92 and 93 grand
I
finals.
think
Then
I'm going to
92,
do a
93,
3-hour
okay,
one and then
as
start
well.
another one. Then a 3-hour one and then start another one.
Do we even
We'll see.
count? We don't even count that
See how
song.
the batteries go.
Yeah.
No, have you
Oh,
ever, when was the last time you heard someone say,
Only way I can charge while I'm driving
Yeah,
tonight
98.
with
I said
Starlink on
98.
is
You got
12
one
volts
right.
for my
Yeah.
car.
when was the last time you heard someone say, oh, what about that Super League Grand Final
I had a
win
bigger
back in
alternator.
97 against Cronulla? When was the last time you heard anyone say that?
My V8.
Ed
You do.
Mundine would.
My V8's got a 300 amp alternator.
Alright, we'll wrap things up in just a moment.
In 200 metres, at the roundabout, take the third exit onto Beckett Road, State Route 40.
We have reports of a hazard on the M1 southbound with all modes being played. No delays there, otherwise the M1 and Pacific motorway remain untroubled either way between the Goldie and Brisbane. Bruce Highway's clear both ways between Sunshine Coast and Brisbane, and city streets there remain.
Exit the roundabout onto Beckett Road.
City. Otherwise, the tramway is running well as well. I'm Jimmy Clark, Brisbane's traffic leader, 882 40C.
Continue on State Route 40 for 5 kilometres.
Have your say and hear podcasts of your favourite shows. 4bc.com.au.
When you need more from your truck, you need a Ram. America's
Muck
best
around
truck
with
brand
things.
again for
Try and tune
2024.
things.
Ram's unrivaled heavy V8 power lets you carry and tow
Like I
even
was saying
the
before,
heaviest
it's a whole
loads
learning
with more
process.
ease than you ever thought possible, and while enjoying unrivaled levels of comfort and technology, it really makes light work of any challenge. And it doesn't stop there.
Got the
with
switcher
Australia's
here
best
running
truck. Our best
off
range of pickup
battery
trucks,
at the
Ram
front.
eats everything else for
Further
breakfast.
on.
So,
Further.
if you're looking for a superior solution to the everyday ute or
copy it. If anything happens on camera, I can
Visit
clip it too.
heartsunmost.org to find the courage to voice your pain.
Hey boss, we got a new bookkeeper.
We did.
Do they do
I'm going
expenses?
They do.
about
What about
1,700 kilometres to go,
Are
roughly.
they in?
Yep.
1658 or
There's
something.
no one else here.
Oh, sorry. It's Nab, bookkeeper. Our new bookkeeper.
Got 1,920.
Lives in the computer.
What's that?
Technically, it's
192,770 kilometres.
With Nab Bookkeeper, our new online bookkeeping platform. More than money. Terms and conditions, fees and charges apply. See nab.com.au for more information.
This is that song.
You're listening to Wide World of Sports on Brisbane's 4BC.
They're playing that song, mate. You gotta get done for the music anyway.
Magnificent show by you, Sol.
No, you're the man.
How many
Just
tickets
listening to this show.
How many tickets are you getting to the
Pretty
planning of
much
the Apes movie?
talk back a little bit.
Because
You want to go?
you talked about it for 18 minutes.
Well, it is an ad.
Had a wheel alignment and balance on this.
You'll drive a Ram truck there in the movies.
It's a Kia home.
You're the best, Sol.
Have a Forex gold when I get home as well. See you Thursday, Paul.
Oh, gold. All right, mate.
beer or
Bye,
anything,
champ. See
mate.
you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye, everyone.
The glory,
Probably
the
pretty
heartache, your home of the
Whole time on my way.
4BC.
Might be lucky to have one or two.
Brisbane,
going out.
882, 4BC.
In this bulletin, incident between Australian and Chinese aircraft, budget bonus for younger Australians and residents told to prepare for flooding. It's 7 o'clock. Good evening. I'm
If I had
Chandra
another battery, I
Llewellyn.
could run the
The
light here and
Defence
everything.
Minister
Got the other
has
battery,
described the
not
actions
at
of a
least be
Chinese
24 hours,
aircraft
so.
in an incident with an Australian helicopter
But not
as
with other
unsafe and unprofessional.
things
It's
plugged
believed
into
the
it.
Chinese plane dropped flares
they're
near a Navy
$2,500
Seahawk
Australian dollars,
helicopter
one
which
of
was
those,
conducting
think about it.
routine operations in international
Okay.
waters. Richard Miles has told 9 News it's deeply
The
concerning.
inverter
The PLA Air Force plane dropped flares.
generator is about $1,000.
The Seahawk
Cheap brand.
helicopter about 60 metres above.
The Albanese government is targeting younger voters with a series of budget sweeteners. Federal politics editor Michael Buckley.
Next Tuesday's budget will wipe $3 billion from next year. Students doing crucial courses like teaching and nursing will receive $300 a week while they're undertaking practical experience. Federal Education Minister Jason Clare says at least 73,000 people will benefit.
That's going to help students who are struggling to pay the bills to do that and finish their courses.
The budget will also show $25 billion is expected to be generated over the next 4 years, but it's unlikely to cover.
In 600 metres, use the right 2 lanes to turn right onto Beams Road.
Every Labor government thinks they can defy the laws of economics and they fail.
The Albanese government maintains its budget will be sensible with a focus on keeping inflation in check.
Thanks for popping in chat.
9 News.
Murder charges are now
Gonna go
expected
and
to
do
be
something
laid
else.
over the death
Make
of
sure you
2
come back,
Australians
yeah.
and they use the right 2 lanes to
Leave
turn
comment.
right onto Beams Road.
Don't be frightened to
Bodies
say
have
something
been
in chat.
formally identified
We'll
by their
eventually read it.
parents. The Consumer Watchdog says Qantas' sale of tickets on so-called ghost flights was egregious and unacceptable. The airline has agreed to pay millions
I've
of
got
dollars
5 bars
to
of 4G on
customers who
here.
bought tickets for flights which had already been cancelled. It's also expected to pay a $100 million fine for breaching consumer law.
And 10,000
The New
bit
South
rate.
Wales Premier says he's sorry it has taken
not
until
10,000.
today for the government to announce a comprehensive... Continue on Beams Road for 1.5 kilometres. $30 million is being spent on a range of initiatives from helping women escape violent relationships, programs to allow victims to stay at home and early intervention. Money's also been set aside for changes to the justice system and bail laws. Chris Smith says the spending will be ongoing.
I'm truly sorry that these reforms are being announced today and not earlier than today. And the bottom line here is that all governments need to do better, and that includes my government in New South Wales.
The SES is warning dozens of homes on the New South Wales Central Coast may be inundated by waters. Heavy rainfall is expected over the next 24 hours. There are flood warnings in place for several areas, including Berkeley Vale, Long Jetty and Yarramalong. Turning to finance, the All Ords has closed up 47 points at 79.45. And $1 Australian is buying 66.2 US cents.
We just let the
Join John Stanley Monday to Thursday night from 8 on 4BC.
The West Tigers will be without halfback Aiden Caesar for the next 4 games after he was suspended for a dangerous tackle. NRL Executive Director of Football Graham Annesley telling Wide World of Sports the match
except for kangaroos and things like that.
Tougher action against Caesar.
But I pretty much know the way up to Bundaberg. We'll at least end up somewhere around there.
In 500 metres, turn left onto Indy Road, M3, signs for Sunshine Coast.
I think Bundaberg's about 4 to 5 hours. So. There's a survey there we might switch, most likely going to switch for Starlink on.
Ahead of Saturday's AFL test on his injured ankle later in the week.
Tested it before and it's pretty fast.
Take the second left onto
50 up
Road,
and 250
M3,
down.
signs for Sunshine Coast.
Well, I suppose it depends how close to the satellites and stuff are. Going to pull in here, go forward. Double check
Continue on M3 for 3 kilometres.
Starlink.
Budget Direct rated 4.5 out of 5 based on over 47,000 independent reviews.
Traffic, West Lane, Woodridge, 4BC is Brisbane.
We have reports of a hazard on the M1 southbound at Ormo in the Plain. No delays there. Otherwise, Pacific motorways clear both ways through 8 Mile Plains, and the M1 is good run to and from the Gulf. The Bruce Highway's untouched.
In 200 metres, take the ramp to M3.
Coronation Drive, Countess Street.
I got it. Pardon French.
With the Riverside
Excuse-moi.
I'm Jimmy Clark, from Brisbane's traffic leader.
Like a 20 litre gallon drum of water I got there, but it's only like 15
Looking for an
litres.
inspiring place to work? At Spaces, we help anyone who is looking for a professional environment to work from locally that gives their business the scale they need to succeed. Our locations are the perfect place to focus, collaborate, network, and get your best work.
Take the ramp to M3, then merge onto M3.
We will.
Turn up and get down to business.
So
To
take
find
an
out
Aussie
more
slash.
about our offices, co-working spaces, and meeting rooms here in Brisbane, in Australia, or around the
We've
globe,
been drinking energy
visit us
drinks.
at spacesworks.com.
So what have I got to do? I've got to take a slash.
Wake up, Wendy! You're moving homes and haven't connected your energy yet.
Take away, can do something else. I'll think of that. inside. I suppose I'm going to get that later. Oh, no, not me. Text
place, but don't miss that later this hour. Plus, what the tax office is going to be cracking down on in this year's end of financial year deductions, and the eye-watering amount of cash that US gazillionaire and stock guru Warren Buffett is sitting on. Cash is sitting on it, and why? So lots to cover on this Monday, the 6th of May, here on Money News. Feedback straight from you. Jeremy's called through from Melbourne on Qantas. What do you think, Jeremy? Does it help to improve the tarnished reputation of the Flying Kangaroo?
I think it's the wrong question.
7 units have been flown.
How does the board continue to occupy office when they've presided
whether I just make a sandwich or something,
of choice, corrupting their allies, destroying the brand value, and now his erstwhile chief financial officer, Vanessa Hudson, has been appointed the chief executive. She's not going to fix anything because she was part of the problem.
So you think she's got just as much blood on her hands? You're right, she was the CFO and not exactly a clean skin going into the role. But don't you think she's made some moves, though, to try to improve things at Qantas?
No, because if she was serious, she would have allowed them to happen on her watch as
another
chief financial officer. So
spare
really,
USB connection there for a
taken to the extreme. This is a company that has destroyed brand value, and it had one of the best brands, not just in Australia, but in the world.
Yeah, no, good point, Jeremy. Fairly made as well. Thank you for that. Dale's also in Melbourne tonight. What do you reckon, Dale?
Yeah, look, I've been a Qantas frequent flyer member for over 35 years.
Night insulin now.
And I've just seen it in the last
put it away.
4 or 5 years just basically being wound back totally. How enjoyed
put a couple of pens with me.
The problem behind the whole issue. But he run the ground, the company into the ground. He lost loyalty. I don't think the current
I put these things on the car now. who's watching me. Okay. Radio. Well, we got
$150 million record fine
10,000 bit rate.
But nonetheless, Qantas has accepted the failure.
4G ones are working more than
move up from there because they've got a long
5G
way to
one
go from the lofty heights that they once were.
So it doesn't matter because it's got the feeder. Okay.
Now the federal budget is just 8 sleeps away. Yippee! The Economist's Christmas. But what do you reckon? The Treasurer, do you think he's starting to feel the pressure? Because he is caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to bring down inflation and to pass out the goodies as part of the pre-election spend. And Jim Chalmers has not been happy with the armchair assessments of fiscal policy.
Now, there's no shortage of opinions at this time of year about the budget position. We'll see that in the papers almost every day, and we welcome that because it helps us to chart a responsible middle course between those who want us to slash and burn in the budget and those who think that it should be some kind of free-for-all of spending. There will be more spending restraint in this budget and there will be more savings in this budget, but this is not the time
budget. I'm on a budget.
Austerity.
Please donate at the next service station.
When people are doing it tough
for the next service station
is soft, for us to slash.
Anything I'll do. If one wants to. Not obliged.
But grabbing the headlines over the weekend is the budget move to help out more than 3 million Aussies with student debts. And the government's going to be spending $3 billion to wipe some of the CPI-led increases that saw student loans increase by 7.1% around a year ago. So it's a shrewd political move.
At the service station, I'm most likely going to check all the nuts and bolts from the roof.
Win over the Greens on that territory.
There's not that many to check.
Doesn't damage the ridge lines.
Because a lot of them have been locked.
Continue on M3 for 2 kilometres.
Red box type, so you don't get it.
So what's your first take? Moved by the government with the next debts?
Anybody in chat? Let me know if the wind noise is too bad.
To stay on M3.
Got some eggs in the back, so we
CPI. Was that a lot of noise for nothing?
Find a barbecue or something in the morning, maybe I'll have an egg or something. I'm not making any plans, just doing it.
Being startled and frightened because they were faced with much greater amounts?
Well, as I said, it won't affect the amount. It doesn't matter what your indexation arrangements are, it won't affect how much you pay in any period. So I don't think the justification was financially well worked through, but this stuff is quite hard. And if you don't know what's going on and your HEX debt goes up quickly by 7%, you don't understand it, then that's a justifiable reaction. It's one of anxiety, and I think that's the point of this.
And I guess you're biased. You designed the entire system. Do you think that the government should have left it alone?
No, I don't think they should have left it alone. When the system was designed, the idea that wages would go up lower than prices was just not comprehensible.
In 800 metres, merge onto M1.
Years in which that's happened. So nobody thought about it much. It could have been adjusted could have been indexed to the lowest of the two, but honestly, the periods before then and the expected future ones after 1989, it just looked like CPI would be fine.
And Jim Chalmers has got the unenviable task with the budget next week to try to deliver help to families and businesses who are doing it tough with the cost of living, but also to
continue for 158 kilometres.
Will be the result of this decision? Will there be any inflationary pressure being brought to bear?
From the HEX adjustment?
If I had a longer cord, I could use this road mic here with a big deck hat on in the car.
Maybe for some people never, and for most people not for a few years, and it'll have no impact on the budget in the short run. So there's no story here about inflation.
And the student loan system, it's got a proud record, of course, of getting more people into tertiary education that would have in years gone by. A big win for the Australian economy overall, do you think, with the whole HEX system?
I think HEX has worked well, and I think one of the reasons we know that it's okay is that no government has really changed the fundamentals over 35 years. They've changed the rules and the parameters, but not the basics, which is you pay when you can in the future.
It's 7:20 p.m. So about 11 p.m. tonight.
And this move, you're confident, doesn't change any of those fundamentals?
No, I don't think there's an issue here. There are much more important issues with HEX at the moment that in my mind was financially was not a big one. I think one of the bigger issues that the government will have to look at some point, and I am confident that this government will, because the Accord Review of Universities recommended very strongly that the government revisits the prices that were set in a quite inappropriate way by the previous government in 2020. They're all wrong in my view. They charge much too much for humanities, and there needs to be a reconciliation between the prices and the justice of the system. The humanities graduates, particularly women humanities graduates, are the lowest earning of all graduates. They've now got the highest. It's not a good system change that the previous government brought in.
So the amount that students pay for different degrees needs a rethink.
The worst comes to worst, we're just sort of driving around.
I don't think it's surprised. That won't surprise the government.
Not so much getting out of the car, but we've got 4G.
Exactly that. Many academics have been saying that for a few years now.
We'll see if they have the political gumption to take on that as a next reform option. But good to get your thoughts on this, Bruce. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Bruce Chapman there, the creator of the original HEX system. And of course, the government's move on HEX is part of the bigger conversation on the whole education system, especially with the expected rise of 4.7% to current loans in just a few weeks. And the rate's been pegged to CPI, as Bruce said, since it started. And many argue, though, there's a better way to do it. And one of those is Andrew Morton, Professor of the Practice of Higher Education Policy at ANU, who joins me now. Professor, welcome to Money News.
Thank you.
So, what do you think? Good news that the government's doing something to tackle the debt of student loans in the budget?
Look, I think it is good news in the sense that it'll reduce the indexation that occurred last year from 7.1% to 3.2%, and reduce that 4.7% indexation this year to 4.5%. But I'm not convinced that this is the right long-term solution to the risk of high indexation.
And why? Why are you not convinced?
The reason for that is that we could get into a period where both CPI and wage increases are fairly high.
So it's only about 15
as of December last year, CPI was at 4.1% and wage price index at 4.2%, both well above the average indexation of 2.5% this century. That may not continue, but this is the kind of risk we need to think about in designing the indexation system.
Well, you've got to peg it to something. What would you peg it to?
Well, I think the difficulty with any of these variable rates is we can't predict where they're going to go in the future. So that's why I'm suggesting a fixed cap. I've suggested 4%, but it could be something else. So whatever happens, it'll be CPI or 4%, whichever is lower. And that means people thinking about taking out a loan or worrying about how long it will take to repay their current loan, this is the worst case scenario, 4% at worst, and it should be significantly less in most years.
Now the HEX system, It obviously allows people to go to university, and more of them are doing it than ever before, but it also increases the amount paid to do so. Is that the trade-off, which is always going to be hard to balance here? Because you can't get a free lunch these days. The days of free education are long gone.
That's true, and looking at the huge benefit of this loan scheme, it enables more than doubling of participation in higher education without breaking the federal government's budget. But clearly, I think in more recent years we have sort of hit this problem of some people taking on debts that seem unwise given their likely earnings prospects. And in some ways, the indexation issue has really just served to highlight that some people have pretty high debts, and as a result, any indexation is a fair amount in absolute terms.
At the end of the day, though, this is, let's be realistic, this is about political pragmatism too for the federal government. With an election coming on the horizon, they want to win votes, and the youth vote, which is, in a lot of cases, and a lot of electorates, being eaten up by the Greens.
Look, I think that's obviously one of the considerations, but I think they would accept this is actually a substantive policy concern as well. In some ways, I think this long period of low inflation we had sort of before the COVID period kind of sort of made us not alert to potential problems in the design of the loan system, and now that we're aware of them, we've got to fix the one we've got. And as I said, we're going to think about future problems like wages and prices going up together for long periods of time.
So there's a fair swathe of voters who'll be impacted by this, and by extension their families too.
Yes, there are about 3 million people with health debt, so my calculation is about 17% of the electorate, and so obviously this is actually a significant political issue. Again, when we started having these loans, the number of graduates in the population was relatively low, and therefore this wasn't a politically important issue, but now it is. So
do you think we need to take a much broader look, a wider look at how the sector is actually subsidised and funded?
Look, I think we probably do, particularly about managing how much debt people have got, and that would include looking at some of the student contributions charged. For example, we've often talked about the $16,000 a year student contribution for doing humanities subjects at the moment after the job-ready graduates policy of the previous government. Clearly that is burdening them with debt that they will struggle to repay, and you could have, decades of indexation on that amount.
So a disincentive for people to get that training and education.
Or disincentive, but also that most people probably will still do it, but suffer the consequences for a long period of time having this debt hanging over them.
Good to get your insights. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Thank you.
Andrew Norton there, Professor in Higher Education Policy at the ANU. So what do you think about the government's budget move on HECS? Is it smart? It is politically, because Labor needs to win the youth vote. But is it the best way of spending $3 billion of taxpayers' money when every single dollar counts? Call 131873. You can text 0460873873, which many of you have. Rodney says it's just a vote grab for the millennials, so the Labor government can remain in power for another term. Well, they're definitely chasing the youth vote, no doubt about that. Rebecca says that Bruce Chapman, the creator of HECS, is my hero. She says, I've paid off 3 degrees. Without HECS, I would still be uneducated, earning a pittance. He is one smart cookie, and like many people, I am so grateful. However, Darren on the email wants to ask whether Bruce Chapman went to uni and paid for his degree, because of course it used to be free, and it was the Whitlam government that brought in free education from 1974 in higher education until 1989, and it was the Hawke Labor government that brought in HECS. So yes, many people did benefit from free higher education, but from 1989 onwards you had to pay, and you still do. And you can have your say 131873. Now coming up, what does the tax office have in its sight when it comes to tax deductions and what you can claim? I'll have a look at that next, along with our market wrap.
Breaking news, Barry, the last person you'd think to get an EV just bought a Toyota BZ4X all-wheel drive.
I can't believe Barry got an EV, probably because it's got all-wheel drive capability to go off-road.
Ground control, what's this about Barry getting an EV with spacious cabin and wireless phone charging? We are here live to understand why you chose an EV. So Barry, why did you shift?
Because it's a Toyota.
All-electric Toyota BZ4X. Charge on. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
We're the first to see the hilarious new family comedy
scams, with the top threat being business email compromise. Help keep your business Combank safe with these security measures. Use NameCheck for first-time payments and call the person or organisation on a verified number to confirm their details. Implement multi-factor authentication and educate your staff on the latest scams and how best to protect the business. To learn more, search Combank Business Security.
Good. Night Radio is currently playing content that cannot be played on our online
Oh, that's as like give money.
Normal programming will resume
shortly. No, I probably haven't got that set up, or I'm not monetised or something. That's probably why.
Some people might think that funerals are there purely to farewell those who have passed on. But the fact is, funerals are really for the living. The partners, the families and the friends who are all mourning for the loss of someone incredibly special to them. At Alex Gow, we believe that funerals represent an opportunity to gather, pay your respects, show how much you care and offer love and support at a time when people need it most.
Alex Gow Funerals, bringing families together since 1840.
I thought since I'm going to do all the streaming, I'm going to try and stream on both. See if I get my hours up.
With special guest star Simon Brooklyn Hawkins from the Jersey Boys.
Streaming for the next 10 days or something every day.
Robertson Brothers 1950s variety TV show. Queensland performing arts on Sunday, July 4th at 2 p.m. that night.
Are you a landlord? Are you worried about your rental income?
Realistic sort of power I need.
Landlord insurance specialist to provide specialist cover for your property and rental income.
Got solar panels to charge up, but that takes 3 hours roughly. You need charge at night. If I find a power point somewhere, I've got a long extension cord I can charge the battery on within an hour. The car's charging it now, 12 volts, when it's fully charged anyway. But it'll be interesting to see when I turn the Starlink on how much the 12 volts is going to charge it back. It's obviously not going to be enough. I'll leave them put something back in it.
You're listening to Night News on Brisbane's 4
subscribe on YouTube.
Your feedback has plenty of it coming. More of your texts, calls and emails shortly. We've got a couple of big weeks in the financial world with tomorrow's interest rate decision and the federal budget, of course, next week. Tax time isn't far away either. It's May already, I can't believe it. But the ATO has revealed who it has in its sights this year when it comes to claims and deductions. And the top 3: incorrectly claimed work-related expenses, inflated claims on rental properties, and failing to include all income when you lodge your claim. And these are apparently the most common mistakes that people make on their tax returns. Maybe deliberately, mainly by mistake. And they could come with some scrutiny or even penalties if you do the wrong thing. Now, the ATO's advice is to take your time when you're putting your tax reform, make sure you get it right. And they're urging people to file after all the information from businesses has been pre-filled, so there's no real rush to get it right. All right, let's check the markets.
And now on Money News, the Market Wrap. Help protect your property investment with Terry Shear, Australia's leading landlord insurance specialist.
A positive lead from Wall Street helped the local market to a strong start. The ASX 200 rose by 0.7% or 53 points to 7,682 as the banks continued to open up their books. It was the turn of Westpac today and it looked to distract shareholders from a first half profit slump, down 16% with a $1 billion share buyback program. And the shares actually rose 2.7% to $27.12. Tech companies had a good day. NextDC leading up 3.1%. Despite its big $120 million hit, Qantas saw its share price lift up 0.3% to $5.90. More competition on global grain markets saw GrainCorp warning on its profits today. Shares were down 3.6% to $8.11. And a positive market needs a positive person. So who better than Elio D'Amato from Stockopedia for our market wrap? Elio, welcome to you.
Oh, good day, Deborah, and good day, listeners, and welcome back onto my show, Deborah. Jeez, I missed you.
I'm happy to be your guest. I'm happy to be your guest, Elliot.
To be honest, though, it's been crazy times in the market. I mean, can you fit any more negative news into an introduction? Yeah, we keep going up. I mean, God, you love it, don't you? I mean, that's why you got to be glued to the radio, listening to stuff, because seriously, it's all wrong. We got no idea what's going on.
Don't tell them that. You need to be the expert in the field. Talk to me about Qantas, though, because they had the big hit to the bottom line, $120 million settlement. Why did the share go up, share price?
Well, it is a airline. I mean, if it crashed, you'd sort of worry, wouldn't you? But, I mean, look, they don't have that history, of course, and, yeah, the market was expecting worse. So, again, this was a case of Goldilocks, whereby we thought that when the little leprechaun was running the business, that fine would have been a little bit higher. But it looks like that new CEO, new incumbents, new leaders within the business may have received a little bit of favour somewhat. I mean, it's, worse than kicking the teeth, $120 million. Gee, thanks very much. I mean, that doesn't come around every day. But nonetheless, when you have, a competitor going broke, as they have had a series since 1990-odd, always makes you think, is it really worth fighting over those duopolies in the supermarket game when you see competitors in the airline space can't even make a quid? I mean, and they're the ones that are still going on. There's only one of them really still going, and that's heavily indebted because, of course, we want to fly in the brightest and newest, and that comes at a cost, of course. Now, all that is said and done is, I think this was a reaction today of just the market sort of coming to grips with the fact that this is a different business than what it was yesterday. Investors are feeling quite comforted by the fact that
supermarket, we can below those prices another time.
Well, look, it was a 16% decline, so we can't sneeze at that. But you're right, they did pay a very good dividend, around $500 million worth in total, but they were able to lift it from 12 months ago, and of course, an extra $1 billion on the buyback. Thanks very much if you don't mind, umpire, and that has on the back of the strength in the balance sheet, of course, that they have, and they've been able to do it, and they can do it because their Tier 1 capital ratio is still going to be quite high. But obviously pointing to increased competition, as all participants in the space have done in recent times. Even NAB with its $3.5 billion profit Macquarie, of course, saying mea culpa because, they're the major culprit in regards to all this and still didn't necessarily grow profit, but there's an opportunity there. It just reinforces our view that, again, at the end of the day, if you believe our economy is not going to resemble downtown Mogadishu anytime soon, then you just got to have a bank in your portfolio. You can't help it. Yes, there's going to be competition, but they are highly leveraged to the strength of our economy.
Yep.
If you think we're heading northeast, then so will the banks in time.
They're strong performers. Elio, always good to have you on your show. Thank you for having me as your guest.
Thank you, Dero. Bye now.
Elio D'Amato there from Stockopedia with our nightly market wrap. Now, coming up, thankfully, we've had some wins in the battle against scammers, but the war is far from over. More right after this.
Want to feel right at home with online study? At CQ Uni, we see you discovering an experience that's welcoming and flexible. Choose from over 200 TAFE and uni courses. Click on the banner or search CQU online.
Sophie Formica.
If we ran our own businesses or our lives the way we allow governments to run taxpayer funds, you'd be up in arms. So why do we continue to just allow this to happen? We actually need some fresh blood in here, peeps, and we need them at the top because that's where we can affect change in the way the system works. Or are they so protected, ironically, on Labor Day, that we'll never see that change?
Sophie Formica, 12 till 3 weekdays on 4BC.
Are you a landlord? Are you worried about your rental income? Terry Shear, Australia's leading landlord insurance specialist, provides specialist cover for your property and rental income, giving you the confidence your property is in safe hands. Get a quote today at terryshear.com.au or call 1-800-804-016. Before buying this insurance issued by AAI Limited, trading as Terry Shear, read the PDS, consider whether it's right for you. Go to terryshear.com.au for a copy. The TMD is also available.
From scams found on social media and online shopping to investment.
months. Plus, get an additional 100,000 bonus Qantas points when you fill up 12,500 litres in 6 months. Get more for your business. BP Plus. Business the clever way. Limited time offer for new...
Scams in 2023. A lot of them originate off social media platforms, and there'll be some advice saying, oh, you can make 1,000% return or quite quick money, and just luring you in, and you literally are then contacted by the scammer who brings you onto their platform.
And that's the thing, the old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But how can you check if you are getting into something, an investment scam that's legitimate, an investment, let's remove the scam, an investment that's legitimate and not a scam?
Yeah, I think first is the rate of return. So if it's beyond what you could even conceive of in the market for a normal investment, that's a pretty good red flag. I love to look up on the internet, Google it, see what other people have said about it. There's a lot of scam reporting sites there. And then I think last is circle of trust. Talk to your friends and family, and you often get an unbiased sort of independent opinion of really should you be committing a lot of money to this.
Yeah, that's it. Ask the questions and be cynical, I suppose. And is it online that most of these investment scams are happening, or is it happening in the real world too?
So there's a bit in the real world, but the vast majority is on social media. So an advert on a social media platform you subscribe to saying that it might be showing a public figure, maybe even a deep fake of that public figure.
Because that's the thing, you talk about the circle of trust. They're often using people to sell a particular investment scam who you would trust.
Yeah, that's it. A public figure who has a good reputation, being impersonated in a deepfake video, and then literally as soon as you start clicking into it and providing your details, you're on the hook. And then usually a small investment, and that small investment grows, and a bit of time pressure. No, you've got to get into the market now, you're going to miss the opportunity, and suddenly you start.
And on the hook takes us to the phishing scams with a PH, not an F. Talk about phishing scams. They're the most reported scam type, but how do they usually happen?
Yeah, definitely the most voluminous in the whole of Australia. SMS, you will have received maybe some road toll ones, people impersonating Ozpost or Link Transurban road
and they're often around the time that you would expect to get a text message from the tax office around tax time, or end of financial year, or end of reporting season. You would expect, even from the Australia Post around Christmas time, a lot of people are sending parcels. They're linked to that calendar when those sort of events happen, aren't they?
You know, that normality of I'm always receiving parcels in the post, so I'm not that surprised to receive a link with a parcel or some notice, or I was driving on the road. So maybe my e-tag didn't work and I do need to pay something quickly.
And AI, we've talked about AI with investment scams. Are they also playing a part of artificial intelligence to make it harder to spot the phishing scams too?
Maybe less so on phishing, but certainly using some generative AI to make the wording believable as opposed to the usual errors in spelling and small things that you might pick up on.
Because I think we've often sort of thought, look, grammatically, there's usually, you can tell if the scam or the phishing is there, but sometimes they are very good and they're very hard to pick.
And also, let's be honest, generative AI, ChatGPT, they're all very accessible to everyone in the public, so they're also accessible to scammers, so they can make high quality content.
Even to the headers of like an Ozpost, you would think even down to the colours that they use, it looks very legitimate.
Yeah, when they impersonate those brands, they take their actual sites and they make sure that the perfect marketing colours are used on their scam version too, which gives it believability, which is unfortunately why a lot of the Australian population falls for it.
So if you think that you have been scammed, or if you've got a loved one that you're concerned about, what's the first step that you advise people to take?
Yeah, single best step is to call the bank, because the faster you act, the more chance of preserving or recovering money there is. If you wait a couple of weeks while you're deciding or not sure, that money will be long gone home.
And do the banks generally have a specific area, department that you can go to help with scams rather than general banking?
That's correct. You know, speaking broadly on behalf of the industry, every single one has a scams and fraud department that generally staffed with specialists that can help you in the fastest way possible.
And the CommBank, what's the CommBank doing to try to prevent these scams, A, from happening in the first place, and from helping people out if they think that they have fallen victim?
Yeah, so there's obviously a myriad of things that we work on, but maybe just cherry picking. We've put in some fairly strong policies on cryptocurrency transfers because of the very high degree of scams that we've seen there, and that's been incredibly successful in reducing the losses to customers through investment scams usually. We brought in name check as well, so that when you're making a payment to someone, instead of having to hope that the name that you think you're paying to is the actual one you're paying to, we actually give you an indication as you make the payment to say whether who you think you're paying is who you're paying. We've also introduced anti-bank impersonation software, so when you're on a phone call, if you receive a phone call out of the blue from the bank, we can send you a message in the app to prove it's us, so that you don't have that question mark of...
Because they can piggyback the scammers of legitimate phone numbers, can't they? And text messages too.
We've seen it lots, yeah, spoofing of phone numbers and that, pretending to be the bank, and very credible. They'll even read out a privacy statement to you, which has you half on the hook as saying, oh, hang on, this could be the bank. We've receded into the app because it's a place that we know the scammers can't fiddle with, and it's a place of trust for us that can prove that we are actually the bank, and also then you don't need to answer questions about security questions that might feel themselves like a...
So it's linked to the app. So if you're on the phone to the bank, you'll get a message message at the same time from the bank to prove it is the bank you're talking to and not the scam.
We call it caller check, and we have a version for branch called customer check, because someone might try to impersonate you in a branch as well, so we do the same for both channels.
And we are seeing generally, thankfully, some of the rates of scams have been coming down, which is the opposite of what it has been in previous years. It's just been this exponential increase. That's at this time.
Yeah, that is certainly one where the war is not over, but if I look historically back at the ACCC Scam Watch reporting, each year has been 100% growth, 100% growth, 80% growth, and we've just had our first retraction by 13%. So the war's not over, but at least that horrific upwards trajectory has been tempered, and hopefully now shrink it significantly.
Well, all power to you. Whatever we can do to reduce these scammers is very welcome. James, always good to talk. Thanks so much for joining us.
Cheers. Thanks, Debs.
James Roberts there, General Manager of Group Fraud at the CommBank. Now up next, the eye-watering amount the Warren Buffett's company has sitting around in cold, hard cash just waiting to be invested.
Servo we're going to should be
billions it is. That's next. Here on Money News.
CommBank, protecting you and your business from scams and fraud is our top priority. To avoid falling victim, remember 3 simple steps to help keep your CommBank safe. Stop, check, reject. Search CommBank Safe today.
Looking for an inspiring place to work? At Spaces, we help anyone who is looking for a professional environment to work from locally that gives their business the scale they need to succeed. Our locations are the perfect place to focus, collaborate, network, and get your best work done. So whether it's Brisbane CBD or Fortitude Valley, simply turn up and get down to business. To find out more about our offices, co-working spaces and meeting rooms here in Brisbane, in Australia or around the globe, visit us at spacesworks.com.
Terry Shear is Australia's leading landlord insurance specialist, providing specialist cover for your property against damage by tenants and loss of rental income. Terry Shear was the first to offer landlord insurance, and it's all they do. That's why they are the leading specialist in this field, with landlord insurance providing cover for your property and your rental income. Whether you're a first-time investor or experienced property investor, Terry Shear gives you the confidence that your property is in safe hands. To get a quote, call Terry Shear on 1800 804 016 or go online at terryshear.com.au. Before buying this insurance issued by AAI Limited Trading as Terry Shear, read the BDS, consider whether it's right for you. Go to terryshear.com.au for a copy. The TMD is also available.
Love finds a light in the darkest of places. In the brand new Stan Original series, The Tattooist of Auschwitz. I was a young man in a terrible place. Based on the best-selling book, loved by 13 million readers across the world, and starring Academy Award nominee Harvey Keitel. But I found something there. Someone. The brand new Stan Original series, The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Now streaming only on Stan.
It's hard to talk pain, but I didn't want to do things. You know, when you've got 3 kids, you want to get out and about all the time. I used to kick a lot, and even now when I kick at training, I come home with a bit of pain. To have no pain, that's vital. For me, the Good Feet Stool made a big difference. I've been using the arch supports for got no pain at all, so it makes you want to get out and about, and the kids love it because they spend more time with them as well. I'm David Campese, and that's my Good Feet story.
Book your free fitting and test walk at goodfeetstore.com.au.
The best deals ever are on right now at Eureka Furniture. Sign up in store today and get 50 to 80% off absolutely everything across Eureka Furniture's massive range for the entire month of May, with plenty in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, 24 months interest-free available on premium quality lounging, dining, bedding and outdoor essentials. It's the perfect time to get quality furniture that doesn't cost the earth. T&Cs supply. Visit in store or shop online at eurekafurniture.com.au.
You're listening to Money News on 4BC. Do business the clever way with a BP Plus fuel card. Visit bpplus.com.au to find out more.
I'll tell you about the millions Warren Buffett's got in cash just sitting around, ready to be invested. But some feedback from you, Paul on Qantas says that his wife is a flight attendant of 20 years and the staff feel better so far about the new CEO, Vanessa Hudson. Paul says she will already have dialogue with unions to look after staff, and Alan Joyce was an absolute dictator. So Paul says a lot of the Qantas staff happy with the new boss. And just on the topic of the budget as well. Max is asking, in my opinion, what do you think we need over here as a pension? As people
I like this probably.
Turn left onto Fritzo Connection Road.
Up 39% to 11.22 billion US dollars from the year before. And the company's cash hoard is absolutely staggering. It holds a record 188 billion US dollars in cash. It's about 284 billion Aussie dollars. Largely because he reckons he can't find a business worth pumping his money into. To invest in. So
continue on Fritzo Connection Road for 5 kilometres.
It's got cash to spend. It's right. It's 238 here.
In 500 metres, turn left onto Fritzo Connection Road.
Princess Theatre or Twin Towns.
Reflect your style and add luxury to your
Oh, fucking way. This is also such going to be somewhere. Yeah, we will. $90.9. Leave the phone in here with my wallet. Bit rate's good. Get a drink out the boat too. Let's get this piss in the station. $50. Top. And people looking at my car. The guy opened the windscreen, opened the door for me. And gave me a weird looks at the car. He opened the doors though. If it wasn't a weird look. I was going to pull up here. I've got some coffee in a thermos thing over there. So I'm going to pour some cream into it. And then get a cup out and put it in here. So I can just apply my cream. Let's go up to the pub up here. Look at that. How low can you go? Slanting pub. Take a photo, then I'll list it, post it. Some seats here. Okay. Just face the pub first back here. Fix me coffee up, and then we'll head off. Yes, we will. Beep, beep, beep. Can't fishing on neutral. So we could just go and do this. Got a kettle here if I had to make a drink. Little coffee cup. Collect the cans. Make money back. Put some cream in there. Save the energy drinks for later on, early hours of the morning. Ooh. Coffee is hot. So I'll be with you in a minute. and stir the coffee either. It's not really how I like it. But shit happens. Says we've got heaps of signal. What if I go back down there or go up here? I can go up here. Rolled again. Got a full tank now. It says 576. Let me bring up the modem out app so we can. So it's loaded up. That fucking it's great.
Saturday and Sunday, and it was watertight. Nothing came through. He did a fantastic job, really good job.
Didn't mix up the.
Does it take 4 years? I don't know. He was really good at what he did.
Take the next left onto Fritzo Connection Road.
1318730460873873 at 18 minutes past 8 here on this Monday.
Why are you wearing sunglasses at night, Sarge?
Can't help it, Jax. You see, I've just been reading Budget Direct's customer reviews.
Let me guess.
Positive.
Continue on Fritzo Connection Road for 3 kilometres.
EDSTMD reviews info at budgetdirect.com.au to see your products. Individual circumstances and policy terms may vary. For yourself.
I want to talk to you about what will happen when I die.
Probably going to be another 2 tanks.
I'm perfectly fine. That's why now's a good time for me to make plans. You have both brought me so much joy since you've come into my life, so you'll be well looked after. And I want to make sure others get the same opportunities that you received. So I'm leaving a gift to the Animal Welfare League Queensland in my will. Animal Welfare League Queensland, trusted to look after the welfare of animals for over 420 dog years.
And we're putting a good work of fair bit tonight because it's on the piles of energy you need. The power bee protein shakes boosted by the nutrition and goodness of bee pollen, which is nature's superfood. Bee pollen near perfect food is complete with all the micronutrients you need. In every serving of power bee shake is 2 grams of power pollen, which has been combined with other amazing ingredients, including algal omega-3, green tea extract, prebiotic fibre to sustain your energy levels right throughout the day. Plus, it also has cacao, not chocolate, which makes for a delicious shake when you are on the go. So get more from your shakes. Try Power Bee today. Get that other one quickly. There it is. You order it at naturebee.com or 1-800-147-009. That's naturebee.com.
G'day, John from Salmon Plumbing. Need a good plumber? You know what to do.
If your pipes are slamming, call the salmon.
Stop the fighting. Call the whiting.
Don't you wish you called the fish?
Salmon Plumbing. We're the team to call for plumbing repairs, installations, upgrades and emergencies. 24/7. Don't like about.
In 600 metres, turn left.
Next safe place.
Call 1300 That's 1300 725 666. salmonplumbing.com.au. QDCC 741 050.
9 Radio is currently playing content that cannot be played on our online streams. Normal programming will resume shortly.
Take the next left.
Renovating? Our Tiles has the largest range of slab tiles in Queensland. Ideal for kitchen vent tops and splashbacks, living spaces, and bathrooms.
Continue for 1.5 kilometres.
The latest in invisible cooktops. This technology allows you to hide your induction cooktop under the slab and cook through. All on display and in stock at our Art Tiles award-winning showroom. Open 7 days. 104 Gippy Road, Strathmine.
111 at TAFE, get a licence for fair trading plus all your insurances. I think that's right. Then I've got, when I travel on trains, I always think alight is a strange word to use, especially if English is not the first language of the passenger, or for anyone, I think. A lot of people saying the term alight was probably used in Casablanca or the Maltese Valley. Got a light? Not a lot. We will raise it with Kel. We do our word clinic for those who are with us every night, late in the evening. We'll do it on Thursday night and ask you where all of that's come from. It's very old language. Probably came out of Shakespeare or something. Who knows? But thankfully they're fixing that. Government can subsidise employers looking to hire adult trainees and apprenticeships. And also, this is one, I'm anticipating a 20% reduction in the M7 toll between Preston and Richmond Road, where the speed limit dropped from 100 to 80 because of roadworks on the widening of the M7. Well, this never happens. Never happens. 131873 is the number. Lots more to get through, so I'll get to more of your feedback shortly. But just on the question of this mental health issue, this story's popped up over the last 24 hours, where they've done this examination of psychiatry in public hospitals right across the country. So, for instance, in New South Wales, 1 in 4 of the staff specialist psychiatry positions, they're unfilled. So they're down 25 staff. They've got positions being filled by locums who get paid a lot of money, but they just don't have the staff there to deal with people, and they've got to turn people away before they're well. Same message comes out of the ACT. They're talking about the various states, and a similar message coming out of Queensland. And it really hit me because they're saying loads of patients with treatable conditions that do not get treated. It simply comes to a point where, all right, they're not a threat to the community, we'll just let them go and walk out the door because there's someone in there who needs us perhaps even more. This is an issue that's at the heart of so many of the things that we talk about here. So I decided to take this up and look at, as I say, it's happening all over the country. But Brett Emerson is the Royal Australian New Zealand College of Practitioners Queensland chair, representing psychiatrists. Here's his take on it.
Good evening.
I've tried to sum it up there. Not enough psychiatrists, not enough resources. Is that it? There are people who are being released because they're still not well?
That is correct. And look, this is not a new problem. And, you know, the responsibilities for the issues lie on both the federal government and the Queensland government. You know, if we look in Queensland, even though the government has you know, a new mental health plan, at the end of it, we're going to be about 420 million more in terms of funding, but we actually 150 million. So even with the new plan, we're 330 million per year less than what we need. We need 3,000 more community mental health staff. We need 370 more acute beds and other beds, and we've got about 250 beds in often, you know, some of our biggest hospitals that are 30 years old and badly need refurbishment. It's impossible to provide contemporary mental health care within some of the beds. And look, so that's the situation in the state. We're underfunded, underbedded, and we're understaffed.
And it's fair to say, I've looked at this as I've been looked at, the same applies in New South Wales and the ACT. I think people in your positions are saying this across the country. Is it too simple to say that ultimately, because of all that pressure, someone's deemed no longer a threat to the community, so they are released?
For years.
Could the repeater's got a battery on it, so when you get out the car, at least last an hour or something.
EV. The other two areas that are, I guess, in the public sector, people are going off to do locums. So with the decline, the rates that people are being paid to do locums across the country are probably 2.5 times what you could earn as a full-time psychiatrist. So you might
just filling in with a space as a locum there. Okay, so,
the locum person pay. If you're a first-year psychiatrist coming, just finishing your training, you could probably earn $1,400 a day if you work for Queensland Health full-time. And you go off and do locums, you'll earn somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 a day. So financial issues are part of it. The other issue is people can work, COVID's proven that you can work from home, and, telepsychiatry is an effective medium to treat people. So people are opting to, work less, but, work from home. So, there's some of the existing problems. And look, certainly, the solutions are not going to be easy. We can try to recruit, more from overseas, but from a state government point of view, we need a workforce plan. We need that additional 330 million. We need 370 new beds, and we also need that 250 beds at, Royal Brisbane, PA, Prince Charles, Wilkesnut. The psych units at PA, Royal Brisbane, Prince Charles were all built in the late 1990s, and they're just not contemporary. And then looking at the federal government, the federal government gives money for training. So in the budget next week, we're hoping the federal government will allocate another $24.5 million to create 45 more training positions, and also to expand, various other training options that they currently fund.
I'm still trying to come to grips with what you said a bit earlier, because I think about what you said earlier, and I think of sending someone who's not well. I think of all the training a psychiatrist does to get to be a really satisfying job, to make people better, to make people well, and then it would be heartbreaking to say, well, I really could do a lot with you, and I could really help you, but you're not going to hurt anyone, so I'm sending you off. That would be really, and that would be why I'm noticing, as you say, there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people in your profession say, well, I'm leaving, I've had enough.
Well, they leave and they go into the private sector, and you can help people that way, but it just leaves the public sector, which looks after the severe end, depleted, and it leave. So it's a cycle that we've somehow got to break.
Well, look, I'm pleased I was able to speak with you tonight. You've given us a good snapshot of this, and again, you've talked money, but the money you talk about is going to pay for people to do this work that isn't being done now, and of course, the work not being done means people go on the streets, they end up in jails, their mental health issues worsen, so it's a really important investment.
You summarised that very well.
Let's hope we can get something happen soon.
I agree.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
That's Brett Emerson. He's from the Royal Australian New Zealand College of Psychiatrists, and he's the chair from Queensland, but the situation applies right across the country. And James just asked the question, when they come to discharge someone, is harming themselves or harming others a factor? Well, yeah, if they're a risk to themselves or others in terms of actually doing something serious to themselves, that becomes a factor. But if they're seen as being able to function without hurting someone else, but they're still quite unwell, they go out and things then snowball and they end up coming back. So it's in all of our interest to make sure those people are treated properly, I would have thought. 29 minutes to 9 now. And just on, we've got rego, tax, fuel, levies, excessive tolls. Chris says we should have a reconciliation done between the duties on fuel and the money spent on roads. Well, that ship sailed a long time ago. We've got these tolls. The contracts are really going out decades, and they're pretty like we've got a company that's got shareholders who are relying on it to generate as much money as possible. And that's not only going to be changing anytime soon. Also, plenty of feedback on skills and trades. I've got something I want to do on that perhaps later in the week. I'll tell you about that shortly. But right now it's 28 minutes to 9.
Life can be unpredictable, but your car shouldn't be. For a limited time, Renault Koleos is available with a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. With 2 extra years of coverage, you can drive with confidence knowing that Renault has you covered. Get behind the wheel from just $37,990 drive away and experience what it means to truly get more out of life. Contact your dealer to book a test drive today. Renault Koleos SUV. Conquer everything.
Can't go for a walk on the beach.
Don't miss Ram Trucks 4.99% finance mates rate. Get a Hemi V8 Ram B4 with a 4.99% mates rate from Ram Trucks Finance. Ends 30 June. Visit ramtrucks.com.au. T&Cs apply. Approved ABN applicants of Ram Trucks Finance only.
It's true. Queenslanders love to support 100% Australian brands. And Good Energy is one of those brands. Like, take you from Good Energy. Switch your mobile business to Good Energy. And you'll be supporting something locally. For all week, 100% Australian consumer gas. All the stuff. It's pretty high bad. Good Energy. Eligibility. I'll take out donations.
Teachers are probably the glue that holds a society together. So, and that's a really important point. He was simply saying that from his point of view on what he's done, he didn't need the arts degree. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I talked about how my great regret was I would have liked to have gone and done an arts degree. Maybe I wouldn't be getting the time and the date wrong as much as I do here on the program. 131873 is the number. Plenty more text. I'll get to those shortly, but I want to get to this question of the situation with a 16-year-old shot by police in Perth over the weekend and radicalised. That the evidence now is that there were other students at the school that he was attending that parents were concerned about as well, perhaps a group of them. And it did stand out when they were talking about how had become so indoctrinated, he was actually being forced to use just a basic phone, just with text messaging and phone to avoid him getting online. He obviously found ways to do this. And he was part of a countering violent extremism program, which obviously on the evidence of the weekend didn't work. But I thought I'd ask about these programs because I've been talking about them for decades, the idea of de-radicalisation. How does it work? Can it be possible to do this? Does it need to be done with very young people? I had Dr. Jamal Riffy in the studio with me 20 years ago. He was appealing for help with particularly very young people. So I had a conversation about this with John Coyne. He's from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute. His area is strategic policing and law enforcement. He's got some pretty strong views on this in relation to, say, people who are in jail for serious terror offences in this country. He's actually appeared in inquiries and gone in front of these inquiries and argued the case for these people to be held in prison in perpetuity beyond the end of their sentences, because there's no way of guaranteeing our safety. When it comes to young people and de-radicalisation, I thought I'd ask him about all of that. Here's that conversation. We hear this term de-radicalisation programs. Is it possible to sort of flesh that out for us who are looking at it from the outside into what it might involve?
Look, absolutely. I think I'd like to put in context with this. So there's a few things before we get to that. The first one is, a lot of people sort of sit there and think about terrorism and violent extremism, and we saw those very horrible days after September 11. We saw the rise of ISIS, we saw the global war on terror, and a lot of people sort of thought, well, that's it. We've seen the national terrorism threat level reduced from probable to possible. The reality for the world, and certainly for Australia for at least the foreseeable future, is that terrorism is an enduring problem. Now, when we talk about terrorism, so there's disrupting attacks, and there's investigating them and responding to them. But well before that, there's two things that people, the general population, should think about that are probably the most important things for combating terrorism and violent extremism in the long term. And they fall under what I like to define them by preventing. So they're the things you do before someone's been radicalised or before they've show those tendencies towards violent extremism. The other side is countering violent extremism, or CVE, or de-radicalisation. And what this really about is getting in there, someone who has been radicalised, who has extremist ideological beliefs, but just as importantly, showing signs or had already demonstrated the willingness to use violence to advance them.
I'm trying to get through it. I know it's difficult because I want to focus on the de-radicalisation and get to the other one that you mentioned a moment ago. But where someone has been radicalised like that and has this extreme view and thinks that they're on this mission from above to kill people and to carry out the jihad, the term I use here because you know more about this than I do. How do you then turn them away from that and say, look, this is not the way you should be thinking? How do you disabuse them of those thoughts?
Look, there are a range of methods, all of them underpinned by very detailed risk assessments. But, quite often the media coverage over the last couple of days has painted these de-radicalisation activities as sort of courses. So, someone's been on a course of de-radicalisation. De-radicalisation, like radicalisation itself, is deeply personalised. So it's designed around the individual. It involves, depending on the individual, a range of activities. Now, it can be everything from mentoring, psychological counselling, third-party interventions by community leaders. It can be involve training and education around their ideological beliefs. But it also can attend to a lot of other types of issues. So those include employment and schooling and social interactions, etc. The key to it here is that, there is no magic solution on it. So people say, if the question is, does motivation work? Then the answer is yes. Does de-radicalisation work all the time? Then the answer is no. And is there a single point where people can say, well, that person's been de-radicalised? The answer to that is probably not. So it's a deeply personalised activity. It's designed around the individual. And it's a lengthy process which requires interactions with, and voluntary interactions from the person who's being de-radicalised. It needs to have assistance from family members, community, authorities, but it's most definitely, to put it in a colloquial term, a team sport.
I'm guessing getting people involved who've gone down the path of being radicalised, and maybe people who've gone across the other side of the world to try and fight these things that have realised how wrong they were and how lives have been turned upside down, they would have some currency in their conversations.
Not use the Starlink yet.
Look, absolutely. For some of them, indeed, Anne Alley, Dr. Anne Alley makes this point, that there is a need in some state or another for an individual who's been radicalised to experience some sort of period or some sort of episode of disillusionment. So they become disillusioned with the cause and then change their mind. I think the other important issue, particularly important to this, to these sorts of discussions, which is that, unfortunately, and the Director General of ASIO, Mike Burgess, made this point in his last food threat assessment. There are beliefs that are awful but lawful. So it's actually not illegal to have extremist ideology. I might find them, and the general public might find them deplorable. But having extremist viewpoints is the problem. The challenge here is about having extremist viewpoints and willing to or interested in or promoting the use of violence to advance those extremist perspectives and ideologies.
I also think
de-radicalisation about that.
Yeah, and I think of maybe are they, as you said, it's not a one-size-fits-all. I want to go, are they isolated so that, in fact, this is something they turn to give them some purpose in their life, and therefore if you can give them some purpose and, a more prosperous, more enjoyable, richer life away from it, that they can turn away from it? That sounds pretty simple, but is that part of it?
Sometimes, but I think the issue here is it's also, the findings around terrorists, around those people who went off to join organisations like IS, those people who've been radicalised towards violent extremism. The research is really clear there. So they turn around and they say, and unfortunately it sounds very vague, but it says the journey to radicalisation varies individuals. For some it's quick, for some it's long, old online engagement. So naturally, if you have such diversity in how people are radicalised, there's going to be a lot of diversity in how people are de-radicalised. The key secret to it all is undertaking very clear assessments on the ideologies that the person holds, the risks they represent, how willing they are to undertake violence. And so, it is a deeply personalised de-radicalisation process.
Yeah. I was speaking with John Coyne from the Australian Strategic Policy Institute just on the question of de-radicalising, and I think, John, I started to think about some of these people who are involved in ISIS, before that Al-Qaeda, who were well-educated lawyers, gone to universities in the UK and the US, who nonetheless became radicalised. And so for them, I imagine there's no way of telling them what you believe isn't true if they're that fanatical.
No worries,
there's not much turning, is there?
For some, it's a really difficult process, and the issue here is the number one priority is not about changing their perspectives necessarily about. As a first point of touch, it's not about changing their perspectives on these extremist ideologies, but on the use of politically motivated violence. So, it comes back to that point, and many people, when I say that, will sit there and be aghast and go, surely, like if you have an extremist, like a white supremacist ideology, or you're an extremist.
Better off just having whites here and all believe, people who believe strongly that Israel shouldn't exist and shouldn't be there at all, they're allowed to have that belief, but they're not allowed to.
And I might find any of those. You might find the general population might find any of those beliefs awful. But this is what the Director General of ASIO, Mike Burgess, says. It's awful, but they're not allowed to. And I might find any of those. I might find you might.